get to do this once a year. So I'd like to call the first meeting of 2022 to order for the Hudsonville Public Schools regular Board of Education meeting. The board is in attendance with an excused absence from Mr. Tuttle. And Mr. Kappinga, we anticipate he'll be here soon. If not, we do have a quorum. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
A motion by Dawn, support by Steve. All in favor?
Yes.
Say aye.
Yes.
Those opposed, same sign. The agenda is approved. Our first order of business tonight is potentially relinquishing this microphone from me with our election of board officers for 2022. At this time, I will open the floor to accept nominations for president.
I'd like to nominate Ken Hall for president.
We have a motion from Steve Bowerman to nominate Ken Hall. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Second from Barb Hooper. Any other nominations?
Move to close.
We have a motion from Steve Bowerman to close the nominations.
Seconded.
Second from Dawn Stevens. Ken, this is your chance to say something. All right. Nominations are closed. All in favor of closing the nominations, please say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Floor is closed. Motion carries. So on the floor, we have a nomination for Ken Hall for president. All in favor of Ken Hall for president, please say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Could have put it in the minutes, Ken, when you said no. I'm totally kidding. So at this time, I will turn it over to President Hall to continue the meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Vanderjack. Humbled and honored to serve again with such a great board, great group of people as president. So thank you. Okay, next we open up the floor for nominations for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Barb Hooper as vice president.
And we need a second for that?
Support.
Okay. Motion by Mark and support from Steve Bowerman. Okay, other nominations for vice president?
It's all glory and no work.
It was interesting. I know you cut right in front of Barb. I was going to say something. Now you
I'm
can't.
sorry. Can I interrupt you?
I guess I was going to nominate you.
You got to be quick. You got to be quick.
Okay, no other nominations? Okay, then I have a motion, please, to close nominations.
So moved.
Motion by Steve Bowerman, support from Mark Davis. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed,
Yes.
no. Motion carried. There's a motion on the floor to accept the nomination of Barb Cooper as vice president. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. Congratulations, Barb.
Congratulations, Barb.
Thank you.
And I trust you'll do a better job than Mark.
There goes the glory.
I open the floor, no, seriously. I mean, I've really been pleased. I've really just appreciated you as vice president and appreciated all the advice and wisdom and insight that you've offered. And I mean that sincerely.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You can call me anytime.
Oh, I will.
I will too, Mark.
We'll pause for just a moment, let Larry get settled here.
If I got elected to anything, I'd leave it.
Yeah. You're the president now. So you got it.
Okay, next up, we'll open up the floor for nominations for treasurer.
I'd like to nominate Chad Tuttle.
Support.
Nomination of Chad Tuttle by Steve Bowerman, support from Dawn Sneeden. Any other nominations for treasurer? Okay, then we'll
Move to close.
move to close. Can I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Steve Bowerman to close, support from Barb Cooper. All in favor of closing the nominations, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. There's a motion on the floor to accept the nomination of Chad Tuttle for treasurer. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Chad's not here, but we'll congratulate him when he's here. Okay, we move on to secretary. I'll open up the floor for nominations for secretary.
Nominate Dawn Sneeden.
Okay, is there support for that? Support from Larry, I think I heard? Yes. So nomination for Dawn Sneeden for secretary, with support from Larry Kappengut. Any other nominations for secretary? Okay, can I have a motion to close nominations, please?
So moved.
Motion by Larry Kappengut and support.
Support.
Support from Barb Cooper. All those in favor of closing nominations, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. There's a motion on the floor to accept and elect Dawn Sneeden as secretary. All those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. Motion carried. Congratulations, Dawn. Again. Last, I open up the floor for nominations for assistant secretary and treasurer.
I'd like to
Mark
nominate
Davis.
Mark Davis.
Okay.
I'll second that nomination.
We have a motion to nominate Mark Davis from Steve Bowerman and a second from Barb Cooper. Okay, any other nominations for assistant secretary treasurer?
Move to close.
Okay, we have a motion to close. And a second from Dawn Sneeden. Okay, they're all in favor of closing the nominations for assistant secretary and treasurer, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. There's a motion on the floor to accept the nomination for Mark Davis for assistant secretary treasurer. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Congratulations, Mark. All right. Okay, that takes care of that business. So thank you everyone for working through that. Agenda here. Okay, next we move on to student council report. So I understand we have Kristen Pikert here. Kristen Pikert, I'm sorry, with us here tonight. So give us an update, please.
Hello, I'm Kristen Piker. I'm student council president, and I'm filling in for Annalise Ham tonight, as she is the normal PRO, but she is sick tonight. So she sent me a few of the notes that she wanted me to highlight, some things that we've been either working on or are working on in the future. Tomorrow is our blood drive, and it'll be taking place all day during the school day. Tomorrow, and another one of our events that we've been working on in our school culture committee is positivity post-it boards. They're just a way to spread a little positivity and hopefully get people to look on the brighter side of things during the school year. They're located both in the main campus and in the freshman campus. Next week we have parent-teacher conferences coming up, and some people on the student council will be aiding the teachers and trying to make the night a little more fun for them, I guess. This past Tuesday we talked about and we did accept board nominations for the 2022-2023 school year. So in 2 weeks we'll be voting on president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and a new PRO. But that is all on the list, so if there are any questions, then I will take my leave.
Any questions for Kristen?
Thank you
Excellent,
very
great
much.
update, thank you. Thanks for filling in. Okay, next up we move on to board recognition.
We should do this more often, but every January, we'd like to recognize and thank the Board of Education for all your work. I know that your work sometimes goes unnoticed and unappreciated, the countless hours, not only in meetings, but in conversations and in doing what you believe and the work that you're doing for the better of all of our kids here in our district. So on behalf of the administrative staff, our teaching staff, and I hope I can say our entire community, thank you for your commitment to Hudsonville Public Schools and to our students. And I know particularly the last week or so, there's a lot of meetings going on, and that's time away from your families and friends. So I appreciate you taking the time to really be committed to our system and our kids. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, everyone. On behalf of the board, it's not a job to get paid for much. We do it because all of us, everybody up here, loves our district, loves our students, and while there may be differences in terms of how we want to approach some things, I can assure everybody that we're always looking to grow, to learn, to be the best district that we can possibly be, and a premier district in West Michigan. So that's in the heart of everybody on this board. So thank you for the recognition. Okay, we have one special action item we'll move to next, and that's the Board of Education Code of Conduct Pledge. And so I'm going to read down through the Code of Conduct of the Board of Education, and then we're going to take a motion and a vote to accept that Code of Conduct And then afterwards, I think Robin probably has the official copy, but then all board members sign the code of conduct to indicate our support of that code. So I am going to read through it line by line here. The Hudsonville Board of Education members are deeply committed and passionate about the quality of education in Hudsonville Public Schools. Serving the students, families, and communities of Hudsonville, the Board of Education recognizes the importance of embracing, adhering, and committing to a method of behavior, operations, and functioning as a board. The following statements will define how each board member will govern. I will fairly and equally represent all students under the care of Hudsonville Public Schools, recognizing the number one concern is the educational welfare of all students. Number two, I will conduct business of the board openly and honestly and avoid any conflict of interest. Number three, I understand and recognize that I alone have no legal authority, but rather our authority, which includes actions and decisions as a board, is a majority vote. Number four, I will ensure the decisions of the board are supported and enacted even if I do not personally agree nor possibly voted for the ultimate outcome. Number five, I understand my role as a board member centers around hiring and evaluating the superintendent of schools and developing school board of education policy. Number six, I will conduct my discussions and conversations in a respectful, productive, and cooperative manner. I will listen to and understand other perspectives. Number seven, I will prepare for and attend all possible meetings. Number eight, I will be committed to the growth and development of my skills as a board member by attending local, state, and national learning sessions when practical. Number nine, I will respect and adhere to all legal constraints of Michigan and federal laws. This includes protecting the confidentiality and privacy of students and employees. Number 10, I will recognize the integrity and positive contributions of past board members and consider prior work before enacting new policies and regulations. Number 11, I will provide support for the superintendent and employees of the school district and ensure that they are able to perform their responsibilities in a professional manner. If concerns arise, I will direct concerns to the superintendent. Number 12, I will promote the development of policies that ensure effective management of the district. Number 13, I will render all decisions based on the available facts and my independent judgment and avoid undue or prejudicial influence of outside groups. And number 14, I will refrain from posting personal opinions on board-related topics and issues. I will not post non-publicly available district-related information without the knowledge of the superintendent. So we review these annually, go through them, and in a work session, we'll talk about any modifications we want to make, but that's the code of conduct this year. So may I have a motion, please, and a second to accept the Board of Education Code of Conduct as written?
I'll move that.
Motion by Mark Davis.
Support.
Support from Barb Hooper. Any questions or comments or clarifications on the code? Okay. If that's the case, then all in favor of adopting the code of conduct, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you, everyone. And again, Robin has a master copy. We'll sign after the board meeting. Okay, next we move on to consent agenda items. So can I have a motion and a second, please, to approve the items in the consent agenda?
I'll move that.
Motion by Mark Davis.
Support.
Support from Dawn Sneeden. Any questions or comments? We have regular meeting minutes, meeting minutes from the regular meeting and the special meeting in December, and then presentation of bills from Mr. Briggs. Okay, no questions. We have a motion on the table, so all in favor of accepting the consent agenda items, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Next, we move on to maintenance truck purchase recommendation. So, Mr. Briggs, are you going to take this?
Thank you, Ken. So this is, if some of you, it's a sign. So this, some of you will remember, both this vehicle and the two vehicles for the motor pool are very similar to what we ordered last year. Both the vehicles we ordered last year, thankfully, were approved. but due to the supply chain, we did not get them. So very similar to that. The dealers accepted the orders and the manufacturers canceled them. So this is, we usually get a maintenance truck every other year. So just in cycle for that rhythm, if anybody wondered why we're doing it 2 years in a row, that's why. So to get on with the motion, this is a Ford F-250 2022 model year from Boardman Ford. It's used as a plow truck, maintenance truck, and the cost is $37,236. We weren't able to get bids from on a Chevrolet truck this year. They can sell every truck. Even Boardman, they've got a governmental program where they're getting this price. They can sell these vehicles for a lot more. They can sell them for way over sticker. So it's planned for in the 21-22 budget, and normally we are able to use the government services program. There's a couple of them around the state. One we use a lot is My Deal, and there really are no manufacturers participating in that right now. They just can't. They can sell everything over sticker, and they just don't need to sell vehicles in a governmental program. So this is the best we can do with bids. I did consult with our attorney, and he's not thrilled about it, but he said that's all you can do for procurement. You fulfilled your duties in terms of procurement. So that's the recommendation, to purchase one truck from Boardman Ford for $37,236 that we charged to the general fund.
Okay, can I have a motion and second, please, to approve the purchase of the maintenance truck as reviewed by Mr. Briggs?
So moved.
Motion by Larry Kappenga,
Support.
support from Dawn Steeden. Questions or comments?
Is the price the same as the last time?
No, the price last time, low was actually Dodge last time, and it is $8,000 more. And it's still under sticker, but it's and yes, we do hope they actually can deliver. So
And if I understand right, we're not retiring the vehicle this year, right?
no, we're not. We're not taking. We need a truck. Just this campus is getting so large. We would like to have another truck right here at this campus full time, just to plow here and do clean up during the day. So no, we don't. We're not taking one out of service. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Okay, we do have a motion on the table, so all in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. Next up, Mr. Briggs, motor pool vehicle purchase recommendation.
Yes, so very similar to the other, we asked the board to approve purchase of 2 vehicles last year. And it's a little, we can't get the same inventory as last year. Last year we were going for a larger van. This smaller van, the 7-passenger Ford Transit Connect, we can use that for a lot of day trips, and it's also used, we're transporting students to some of the center-based programs out of the center. We're using other vehicles in the fleet right now to do that. But this specifically is to replace a 2006 Chevy Uplander and a 2001 Ford pickup truck that we are using, and we are going to take them out of service. It's planned for in the budget for the transportation department. The individual price for the truck, the extended cab truck, is $39,640. The van is $28,025. This extended cab truck is also used to pull trailers. The band uses it a lot. The band uses it all season. They use it for their events. And then this is the vehicle, most likely will be used for summer science to pull their trailer out west. And as you see down below, we weren't able to get bids from Chevrolet or GMC, but you see we were able to get pricing from Dodge as a competitive quote on a Ram 2500 and a Pacifica. Pacifica is a little more, it's probably an upscale vehicle than the Transit, but that's the closest we can get from another manufacturer. Thank you.
Okay. Can I have a motion and second, please, that the board approve the motor pool vehicle purchase recommendation as presented by Mr. Briggs? So moved. Motion by Steve Bowman.
I'll support that.
Support by Mark Davis. Questions or comments from the board? All budgeted, right?
Yes, and I should have pointed out that the truck will get, we anticipate we're gonna get the truck in this year, but the van is made in Europe, and just due to, it'll be built in Spain, but by the time, they don't think we're gonna get it until fall.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Briggs.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to report items. First up, we have the administrative updates. So who would like to kick us off? John?
Yeah, you bet. John Gillette, principal of Forest Grove Elementary School. Taken by surprise, we usually do this later, but that's all right. So lots of things going on at Forest Grove Elementary School and all of our schools. We passed the mid-year point, which is kind of exciting. That gets really, really exciting for elementary school kids when we hit day 100. It's not just quite as fun celebrating day 89 or 90, because we get to celebrate we're 100 days smarter and bring in lots of things that we can find at home, which is cool. So a lot of assessments. We're getting ready for report cards to go home. But the highlight the last couple weeks is that we pulled the sleds out at the Grove. And this is kind of a bittersweet thing because we don't have quite a ski resort quality of a hill out back, but the kids love it, and it's an awesome thing, and it's right where our gym is going to go that we're hoping is built this summer. So we're taking a lot of pictures. Every ride down feels like the last and the best one. So we're just going to keep doing that all through April and May because we'll probably still have snow. So all is well at the Grove.
Good evening, Jeremy Verwise, principal of Jamestown Upper, and just completed my 14th day on the job in the building, 12 kids. So every day for me is just new learning and getting to know an amazing group of students. Constantly surprised by the positive experiences that I've had, including the number of drawings that are given to me every day, the number of hugs I'm getting in the hallway, the number of cookies that I've been gifted is just an unhealthy. Hopefully that doesn't continue. But I want to recognize sort of just something a little different. One of the surprises that has really stood out to me, some of the unsung heroes in my building are the two custodians. And Joel and Karen are just amazing. Every day I'm constantly amazed at the impact that they have on not only the building and the cleanliness and the pride they take in their job is just incredible, but their relationship to the students. You know, to see Joel sitting at lunch with the students and kids coming up to him and talking to him and helping him out and picking up things because they know if they don't, it's going to be Joel who's got to clean it up. And the wealth of knowledge. I mean, 22 years, I think he said he's got in the building through multiple remodels and additions, and just that historical knowledge that he has is just incredible and is unlike anything I've experienced in any other building I've been in. So really some unsung heroes that are impacting kids on a daily basis. Mr. Briggs should probably do earmuffs for this part, but I know that a lot of districts, have privatized, and I don't know if that's ever been looked at here, but they would be worth twice what we're paying them.
Randy Waldy, principal at Georgetown. A lot of things that John and Jeremy hit on. Obviously, we go on at Georgetown too. We don't have a sledding hill. I wish we did, but our kids have found with this icy snow that we have right now, plenty of places to slide outside, and our parapros that are out watching them during those recesses are trying to find areas where they don't have to slip and slide. So it's been a lot of fun. This time of year is always challenging getting the kids in and out with their snow things, especially the younger ones. But it is a fun time of year, especially too seeing the growth that's made. It's kind of like in some ways it's like a doldrummy time of year where you get to school and it's dark out, and by the time you leave it's kind of dark. But this is the time of year where academically you just really see so much growth with kids, and that's a lot of fun because they start recognizing that growth in themselves as well. John mentioned Day 100, which is coming up. Usually comes up right around Valentine's Day, give or take. My funny story for this week is last week I was sitting in a kindergarten classroom, and they count up the days, and it's a good way for the kids to learn to count by ones or by tens, groups of, and different things like that. And in kindergarten, the kids don't necessarily know where they're at, so the teachers aren't always right on with the days. And she had, I think they were working on day 55 or 56, and I'm sitting there watching them, and I literally got mad, thinking, no way, we've been in school longer than that, haven't we? But I wasn't sure. I think maybe it just seems that way. And I came back later, and she must have noticed my face when I was in there, and she goes, you know we've been in school longer than that, right? And I go, of course I do that. So, but I did go back and count just to make sure. So, but other than that, we're having a lot of fun at Georgetown. The kids are doing a great job. And to echo what Jeremy said, we have so many people that just work so hard in so many different ways. I don't think anybody, I know we have job descriptions, but I don't think anybody knows what theirs is because they just fill gaps and fill needs, and I'm thankful for that every day.
Mandy Thomas, Director of Special Services. As an administrative team, we recently had some professional learning, and one of the concepts that was shared was just one strategy just to support, positive and resilient cultures is to celebrate the stories of unsung heroes. So like Jeremy before me, I'd like to just highlight two people that really stand out. So Jody DeHoop is an elementary teacher of our emotional impairment program at Jamestown Lower. She's been with the district since 2008. In the process of growing and expanding his special education programs in Hudsonville, when the opportunity came to begin an elementary EI program, she enthusiastically jumped into that role, which is amazing because it's a challenging one. And so she's done the incredible work of creating and sustaining such an awesome program. And when that program this summer transitioned to Jamestown Lower, it's always a little scary because there can be bumps in the road, but that has gone fantastic. And I think that's a lot can be attributed to Jody and her fantastic team. If you've ever met her, she's the picture of calm under pressure. No matter what words or objects are being thrown around her, she's kind, compassionate, professional, and consistent. And this summer, she volunteered to be part of a project through our Ottawa Area ISD to pilot a new behavioral intervention. And she's constantly looking for ways to meet her students' needs. The other individual I thought I would just speak shortly about is Tammy Tans. She's a teacher of our autism spectrum disorder at Bauer Elementary. Tammy has a great story of starting as a paraprofessional and falling in love with special ed programs so much that she went back to school to become a teacher with her ASD endorsement. She's been a mentor to 3 new ASD teachers over the past 4 years, and it's not atypical to get a message from her at 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. because her students are always on her mind. And she does incredible things and is an incredible advocate for inclusive education. So I know that so many of these characteristics and attributes are the same in so many of our staff members, but I just wanted to highlight and thank you for the opportunity to share about these two great women.
I'm Dawn Harima, the principal at Park Elementary. I have been thinking a lot about my teachers in the last couple of weeks, and I think we all know COVID is a big deal right now, and that's not a fun thing to highlight in our building highlights, but all of the teachers, and I think this is true for everybody's building, are juggling more than I would have ever imagined as a classroom teacher. I talked with a 4th grade teacher this morning. She has about half of her class out. Some families have COVID, some students have COVID, and we're trying to, it's an outbreak. Are we going to close the classroom? What are the next steps? And just getting her perspective on what's next. And she just looked at me and she said, the easiest thing for me would be this, but that doesn't matter. It's just a matter of what's best for the kids. So what do you think is going to be the best for the kids? And every day, teachers are flooding through the office back and forth, dropping off a pile for this kid, a pile for this kid, a pile for this kid, and then we drop those things off at home and the kids are online in the classrooms, And teachers are juggling those kids and caring for them, providing materials, re-upping the materials midway through the week, and communicating with parents. They're really doing 2 jobs, and they're doing it with a smile because they know they want what's best for their kids. And I don't feel like, even myself as a principal, when I see it every day, that sometimes it goes, sort of starts to become normalized. We're like, yep, this is just what we do. But I think it's really important to recognize it's actually, kind of like Jeremy said, we could pay them twice as much because they really are doing twice as much as they used to do. So.
Hear, hear. I need to adjust my seating because by the time the mic gets to me every meeting, I have nothing left. So just echoing everything that's been shared from my colleagues at the elementary level. We've wrapped up our mid-year testing. We had professional learning today, and there's going to be Eagle U next week. And as Dawn mentioned, the teachers continue to go above and beyond, juggling all the things that she mentioned, and still pour their hearts into developing more and becoming better through their own professional learning. Bauer has 3 student teachers and 1 student assistant in the building this semester, which is great. We have great teachers to learn from, so they're well positioned there. 3 from Hope and 1 from Grand Valley. We are currently underway planning for March's Reading Month because it'll be here before we know it. And I wanted to share a quote from an organizational psychologist that typifies what I see day in and day out at our building. The most important quality in a mentor, teacher, or coach is not how much they know, it's how much they care. Caring is more than taking pride in your success. It's feeling joy as you progress. The people you want in your corner are the ones who celebrate your growth. I see teachers coming alongside kids, and as they've wrapped up this testing period, just sharing joy as they've seen these small gains, and it's wonderful. The things that teachers do, and I will also throw a shout out to our unsung heroes, our paraprofessionals. These folks are like unicorns. They just don't make people like this anymore, so if we lost them, we couldn't replace them. We could get a person to do that type of work, but not to the level that they do it, and not with the care. So super thankful for the things I see day in and day out through the halls of Bauer.
I'm Ryan Creek, principal at Baldwin Street Middle School. A lot of things similar to the other buildings. We have definitely been impacted by COVID as well with our staff and our students, and just the incredible support that our teachers are providing for each other, and going above and beyond, giving up their prep hours to best serve our kids. And we all know that when our own people can be with our kids, the best outcomes happen. And our teachers have been phenomenal in supporting each other. We're gearing up for a big event in early February at Baldwin, our Hoops for Heart event. We raise money for the American Heart Association, and we have a little 3-on-3 basketball tournament that kids participate in throughout the day, and parents come into our building. So we're super excited to be welcoming parents in to the building. That's one thing that I think we have taken for granted in the last couple of years, just having parents back in our building and being able to help out and be around and support our teachers has been truly a blessing. Along the theme of our unsung heroes, we have a group of pre-service teachers from Ferris State that are coming into our building off and on to observe our teachers and our kids in action. And just a really cool thing, because I know right now in education we're struggling to find great people to fill teaching roles, and just to have these people willing to come in and for our staff to have an impact on these young college students is really phenomenal. I'd also like to give a shout out to our paraprofessionals. Not only are they phenomenal in their roles, but they have been asked to step up and fill in classrooms and be classroom teachers for a day here and there, and even lead some of our categorical programming when our teachers have been impacted and out of the building. So just a phenomenal time to celebrate the hard work that's going on in our buildings every day. And our kids are just continuing to soar and be awesome. I mean, it's incredible. So today we had one highlight that stands out. Highlight probably of the year is our Lynx students were able to participate in a derby car race. The students all built their own derby cars in wood shop, and they had an opportunity today to race in a competition, and just the joy and the number of students that came down from other classes to cheer them on was truly phenomenal and truly the highlight of my year for sure. So thank you to all of you, and thank you parents for the continued support as we navigate this tough time.
Hey everybody, Jordan Beal, principal here at Hudsonville High School. I can echo a lot of what's been said already. I want to highlight a few things going on in the high school though. It's a pretty busy time right now. Tomorrow night, we have home varsity boys and girls basketball, and this is also the Never Forgotten fundraiser game for the West Leonard Heart Foundation. And the sports marketing students in Miss Lanfear's class have been busy all week selling t-shirts. We sold out late in the day yesterday, so sorry, those are all gone, but they go towards cause by the West Leonard Heart Foundation, if you don't know, named after Wes Leonard, who was deceased on the basketball court in Fenville. That charity raises money for AEDs in high schools and local schools. So we've raised a good amount of money, and I'm sure we'll have an impressive total to announce at the game tomorrow, but that's something our students have been working hard on. Selling t-shirts and some other cookies from the foods class and things throughout the week at lunchtime to raise money for this good cause. So that's happening tomorrow night here at the high school. Also wanted to highlight that we held our virtual parent night and showcase for 8th grade parents. It's hard to believe we're already talking about scheduling for next year's courses. We are getting a jump on that, considering, like Mr. Greek just said, the staffing issues that we are trying to plan ahead for. So we're actually starting the course selection process, request process a lot earlier, about 6 weeks earlier than normal, so that we can get a jump on planning for next year already. So we were able to do that virtually again this past Tuesday. We had a YouTube premiere video, had a lot of 8th grade parents tune in, at least according to the numbers, about 600 so far, to be able to learn about how to register for that process. So our counselors were hard at work putting that together to get all that information out to 8th graders. Something else I'd like to highlight specifically, since we are talking about the hard work that teachers put in, and that's certainly the case here at the high school, helping students who are out on quarantine, helping catch them up when they get back, being online, even streaming live in many cases with Google Meet and using Google Classroom. But also we're excelling in certain areas, and I wanted to highlight and kind of say thanks because we were able to add an art position teacher last year, Mr. Vandenbrand, and his specialty was ceramics. So Mr. Meyer, who's the department chair, when we hired Mr. Vandenbrand, was really excited that we would be able to have Mr. Vandenbrand join our staff. And we had 2 students recently earn very prestigious Scholastic Art Awards here in the West Michigan region. They earned gold keys. If you're unfamiliar with what that is, I did some Googling as well because Mr. Vandenbrand explained to me just how prestigious these awards are. And if you check out our Instagram at Hudsonville HS, you can see the examples of the really intricate work, especially on Alexa's. Alexa Belts and Olivia Petsievos received those gold keys. So you can see those pieces if you want to on Instagram. They're really impressive, what are the talent our kids have. So they don't get a lot of recognition, maybe as much as athletes or performing arts students do, so I wanted to highlight that. And especially thank the board and really to be able to add Mr. Vandenbrand's position. So the last thing I wanted to say, since we're kind of highlighting the theme seems to be unsung heroes, I really want to give a special thanks to our administrative assistants. They deal with so much, and even though we communicate to the best of our ability these new changes that come down, we're so used to things being so fluid. And a couple weeks ago, as many people know, of course, the Ottawa County guidelines changed for how we handle all of our COVID protocol, and it changed, and it was like the middle of the week. And we were able to, thanks to the administrative team, Dr. Vanderjack, Ann Armstrong, we were able to really quickly react to those changes and then really communicate that out. But the people who have to deal with it every single day are those taking the phone calls. So our administrative assistants here were able to calmly help organize and help really make have some input on decision making on how we were to handle those things. And they really are the ones who are dealing with it a lot during the day, answering questions for parents to help navigate some of the changes, and they do so with smiles on their faces and grace in their hearts, and they're kindness and every interaction that they have with parents. So I really appreciate them. So on top of trying to fill all of our sub positions as well that happen throughout each day, it's kind of a surprise. So I just really wanted to make sure we highlight them as well, since it's kind of the theme tonight. So that's all I've got from the high school. Thank you.
I'm going to start in January. Mark Hegel, principal of South Elementary. I want to thank the board, being Board Appreciation Month. It's a complex task that you have, and I appreciate you giving your time and energy to trying to help Hudsonville maneuver through a lot of different things. Some things that we can see and some things that we can't always see coming, but doing it to the best of your abilities and working towards helping our kids move on and our staff move on to the next steps, whatever those might be. So thank you for all the work that you put in. As Jordan kind of mentioned, their showcase, believe it or not, next week is kindergarten orientation night. We're going to do that virtually due to where we're at with COVID, so we'll be online, but it's hard to believe that, I'll use the word recruiting, not really true, but we're recruiting kindergartners and pre-Kers already for next school year. We'll start to get names, and then the next month we'll start putting out some of the screeners to get to know them a little bit better and hopefully be able to have them in the building here or there as COVID allows. But it is crazy when you think we're halfway through, but we're also now into the next round of who's going to be joining us next. That's always exciting. Speaking of kindergarten, this is the time of year that I've learned that kindergarten kids lose teeth. And so in the elementary realm, and what I do a lot of hallway walking and cafeteria and getting into classrooms. And most of what I see from kindergartners these days is hands in their mouth or wide open mouths because they want to show me what's wiggling and almost falling out of their mouth. They're pretty excited. And today I'm working in the office. Jordan was talking about administrative assistants, so I'm working in my office, and two kindergartners must have come in because all I heard from Mrs. Strading, our administrative assistant, was, "Why are you carrying his tooth?" So our kids are taking care of each other in unique ways, and they do enjoy celebrating together with one another when a tooth falls out. But one of them must have needed help getting to the office to put it in the correct bin so we don't lose the tooth for a second time.
Hey, good evening, Bill Ross, Principal Riley Middle School. The middle point of the school year is a significant time for our 8th graders. It's exam time for our world language students, and just that word exam sometimes can bring anxiety to our children. You know, 2 outstanding educators at our building are Beth Dorr and Jody Timmer. Just 2 teachers that understand that their responsibility is to help kids find success in a language, and they've just done such an outstanding job of building confidence, taking away the pressure of an exam for kids, and letting them know that it's an opportunity to demonstrate your learning and really celebrate that. So that's just something that we're really proud of, and I know that goes on at Baldwin as well with their world language staff and such. We're excited to see that schools returning some of the activities that haven't been there the last few years. One significant one is our junior musical at the middle school level. That will be a combined event of Baldwin and Riley students in April. It'll be Matilda Junior. So musicals have just had that special niche in our middle school to attract kids, to give them a sense of community, and really to build that culture that we desire to have. So that's just another highlight of things that are going on in our middle school. So I want to thank the board, as Mark did, for the work that you do to support us and our families. Thank you.
This is still on this. Well, if I will, Bill, just like to continue to thank the board for their service. It's been an interesting year, and thanks for everything you do. Appreciate your support, guidance, and leadership. And I don't know if this is in the area of unsung heroes, but he certainly made a quiet entrance to the meeting tonight. Mr. Rob Matthews, our transportation director. If I would have seen him, I would have given him, I don't know if a hard time, but Rob's talked a lot about vehicles this year. And he worked really, really hard to solicit those bids. And just can't thank him enough for his work, because I thought he was going to give up 2 or 3 times 2 or 3 months ago, but he just kept working. I think the dealers just finally said, I got to get this guy a price in the vehicle, because he's going to keep showing up here every day. But he certainly worked really hard. Lee worked hard as well, but Rob really led the way in that. And then just his first year, we were talking, his first year, he started December time last year, and it was pretty different last year than this year with everything he had to deal with. So I know he's looking forward to year 2, but he certainly is leading his group, and just the amount, I've talked about it before, but the amount of change, I've heard a number of the principals say, and somebody, I think Randy talked about job descriptions. Our drivers, when they bid routes, they get paid for a start and stop time, and we call it transportation deadhead time in between. And if you've ever had sometimes I have to go dispatch. and there's just times when because we have to make a lot of changes on the fly, move things around, because routes are we just don't have the staff every day. And so drivers, they're really not, they don't have to work the whole time, because they just have their bid route time. But they'll hear me struggling or somebody else struggling during the day, and to go get a kid. And so they go when they don't have to go. They'll go make sure that kid gets to school or gets home. And they just do it because they know the kids, they know the families, they know the stops. And that's, I know it's to Rob's leadership and his team, but it's just amazing to see what they've done just as a department to take care of our kids. It's impressive. So thanks, Rob, and nice job.
Did we get everybody? And we have a couple out this evening, so good. Thank you for the updates. Those are always great to hear what's going on in the buildings. And Rob, thank you for all your support of transportation. So great job, team. All right, we'll move on to superintendent report.
Thank you. I would be remiss to think, I believe the kindergarten class next year is the class of 2035. Is that correct? Something to think about. Seems like, yeah, wow, what a good review. So I would like to thank a number of people. I do want to thank Keith Blair. I know, Keith, I know you don't want me to do this, but I'm doing this right now. Keith is our auditorium director, takes care of all of our auditoriums and facilities over here, here and at the freshman campus. And having our meetings here is something that has not been done until this year, and you've been very helpful, obviously, with setting this up, making sure everything works well, not only here, but I know we're going to start transitioning to the freshman campus moving forward too. So Keith, I do want to thank all the work that you put into this. This past Tuesday evening, I had a chance to present to the Jamestown Township Planning Commission regarding the gym at Forest Grove, which we hope to break ground and start working on in March, as soon as the snow kind of thaws a little bit. And we anticipate that gym and that connection. I'm sorry to say this, Mr. Gillette, will take your snow hill. This is going to be your last hurrah. Because by next, I would say Christmas or December, that gym should be operational and should be ready to use for the kids at Forest Grove. So we are looking forward to that taking place. The traffic flow is much better there. Now we have a gym on the building, so the cafeteria and the gym. So Forest Grove, besides the sliding hill, I guess they could go from the top of the gym, but that would not be safe. So sorry about your sliding. As you mentioned, we do have several administrators that are out with COVID. Just to give you some numbers, to give you a general idea, Mrs. Armstrong's not here to give kind of an update, but during the peak of the pandemic, we were potentially having 35 to 45 positive cases of COVID. This past Monday, we had 112 on Monday. I know it encompasses a weekend. We've been averaging around 70 to 75 a day the last 3 days, just to give you an idea. Our attendance rates, you've maybe heard different districts talk about we have to go virtual, we can't staff it, we're not going to be in school. We monitor those daily, and I have to be honest, it's Some classrooms, as Mrs. Harriman mentioned, are challenging. When you have maybe 7 or 8 kids in the classroom, you're trying to navigate, do we stay in, or do we send them all home, and what that looks like. We're doing the best we can to keep our kids in school as much as we can. We have, our attendance rates right now are right around 87%. To give you a general idea, normally in the winter months, we are right around 95 to 96%. In the spring and fall, we might be closer to 97 or 98. Right now, we're at 87, which is very consistent, I will say, with neighboring districts. But you'll see some districts are falling below the 75% threshold. At 75% threshold, the district does not count it does not count for the district as a day of instruction, just to give you a general idea. So you have 2 options. Number 1, you can then make that day up as a day of instruction, or you would forfeit funding for 1/80th of your student foundation. So we are not there yet. We hope we don't get there. We're seeing a lot of positive numbers, positive cases, but also some indication that this pandemic spike might go down as fast as it went up. We meet with the health department, quite frankly, daily now, because of all the considered outbreaks and issues that we have throughout the county, and throughout the area, throughout the state, throughout the country. So I'm not going to say that we're going to get out of the woods in 4 weeks or 5 weeks, but I'm optimistic that this conversation, when we have it next time, we continue to see some improvement. So we're hoping. I do appreciate, I know the administrative staff is thanking all the people around them, but that wouldn't happen without their leadership. You are truly a joy to work with, and I know you put in countless hours of trying to lead a building, and quite frankly, subbing in the classroom, cleaning up in the hallway, taking care of, opening milk cartons. I know Mrs. Stefanich is not here tonight. We did lose power at Jamestown Lower, I think it was a week ago. And I got to spend about 4 or 5 hours in the building as we navigated keeping the heat on, which was on, but then the lights would come on and they'd go off, and kids were fine because it didn't get cold in the building, but there were somewhere it's a different experience. Opening milk cartons, helping kids tie their shoes in the hallway. Somebody lost a glove and it was like the end of the world, and we found the glove after the lights came on. So it's quite an experience to spend time with our kids in the classrooms, and it was certainly a joy during that, I would say, a little bit chaos, to spend time with our little ones over at Jamestown Lower. So that was a good time. Because of COVID and some of the administrators, I will tell the board that next week, Monday's work session, I know President Hall is going to reiterate this probably in a little bit, but we are going to move the work session next Monday to the freshman campus auditorium, the large auditorium. So I'll say that again. Next week, Monday's work session will be in the large auditorium at the freshman campus. Correct, Mr. Blair? Thank you. Just want to make sure there's not something going on. So that'll give people a chance to spread out if needed and so forth for that work session. We will have to move some of the items off the work session agenda that we had planned because people won't be available to present. But we still have plenty on the work session agenda. Some of the items I'm going to talk briefly about that we'd like to talk about, but then we're going to dive into them much deeper next week, Monday, at the freshman campus. Going from there. Another reason why we're meeting over there, and this is open to anybody that is at the work session on Monday night, is we're going to, about halfway through the work session, I don't know about time, but based on the agenda, we're going to stretch our legs and go look at the choir room. The choir room is, I will say, complete as it's going to be to use it, hopefully next week. The inspections are tomorrow. It looks, I know it's a choir room and it looks like a room, but to me it's cool, right? It's an accomplishment of something that we've accomplished as an administrative team, as a board, as a district, as a community, to say we've done this work during a pretty challenging time. It completes the loop of the fine arts wing, which is nice because now kids can travel through that loop and not have to all go down one corridor. So we'll take a tour. If you're at the work session on Monday night, I would encourage you to join the tour to take a look at what the choir room looks like and go from there. So that's getting close. The bathrooms, just to give you an idea, are still going to remain closed in that new wing because the partitions are from supply demand, their supply chain, they're just not here yet, so we're going to keep them closed. There's never been restaurants down there, so they won't miss them, but we're looking forward to opening them as soon as the rest of the equipment comes in. I do want to thank Rayanne Hart is here. I know you didn't expect to see them, I'm sorry. I do want to thank Rayanne Hart and the English department at the high school. We've been working through continued conversations about our book guidelines and about what that looks like when there's a concern regarding a book in our curriculum. So we have been meeting. I know the board's been up to date on some of those conversations. Monday night, we're going to dive into this a little bit more. But I appreciate all the work they've done. And to the extent of every concern that comes to us is a valid concern that we want to have conversations and do the best we can to provide our kids with a wide range of reading material, but also what's appropriate at which grade level and what's recommended versus what is available, if you will. So we're going to have some of those conversations on Monday night, and I do want to thank the team here at the high school for spending time working on that. We also met this past week, our first meeting with our diversity and advocacy group, and we're going to talk in more detail on Monday night regarding the makeup of that group. It was a nice opportunity. I didn't know a lot of people in the room. They were all randomly selected by the volunteers that came in. So we had a chance. It was really just more of a meet and greet that night. We had no objectives or goals other than to meet and greet each other and get a chance to talk about what are some of the wishes of the people in the room and what are some conversations that we can have as a community and as a district going from there. Outside of that, I know that's a lot, but I think that is it. So, and thank you again for all you do. I appreciate all of you, and I'll reach out to Mr. Tuttle and say the same. Thank you.
Okay, and since Dr. Vanderjack brought it up, I'll just expand on it right now, that we are moving work sessions, not regular meetings like this one, but work sessions to the freshman campus. And we're doing that because the freshman campus media center. And we're doing that because it's a space that's it's a large space, not as large as this, but large enough. And it's to fit a large group. And it's a space that's more conducive to a work session sort of environment and agenda, where we can have different tables and so forth of various administrative teams and others that are reporting out to the board, and an environment that's more conducive to board discussion and so forth. So starting in February, we'll have those work sessions at the Freshman Campus Media Center on Monday. This coming Monday, we'll be in the auditorium out of some social distancing needs for COVID. So that's the plan going forward. They'll all be posted on the website to keep track of, and we'll continue to have regular meetings here, at least for the next couple of months probably. Okay, with that, we will move on to recognition of visitors and hearing of people present. We have some individuals that would like to speak to the board this evening. So Robin Vandenberg is in front. She'll call names, and please come up to the microphone. A reminder, please keep comments to 3 minutes, address comments to the board, and go ahead, Robin, if you've got the list.
Gwen Snoik.
I see there are children present, and I'm going to cover some sexual content. I wonder if you'd like to step out for my 3 minutes. It's totally up to you. I'll explain this in a minute. Hold on. Can you restart my time, please? Thank you. First, there was a kite runner with its child sodomy rape, gang rape, pedophilia. And now we've uncovered half of the Yellow Sun, sexual fantasy with graphic masturbation, oral sex, how the penis feels in the mouth, description of sexual movements, the sounds, techniques, sexual comparisons, how firm or not firm the penis is, how gang rape feels, This is what's being promoted in our classrooms. Familiarizing and desensitizing minors to explicit sexual content is exactly what abusers do to groom their victims. On December 13, staff tried to convince us that sexually graphic texts represent different viewpoints. On Wednesday, some parents were told that educational value can outweigh inappropriate adult sexual content. It's individual teachers that have decided that our students should read lewd books. These people do not have trustworthy standards. I prepared book excerpts for each of you there on the stage, and I challenge you to read them aloud to each other at your next closed board session, just so you can get the feel for what that's like. And then I want you to consider whether you would read them to a teenager. Garcetti versus Sabellos in 2006 ruled that teachers do not have full First Amendment rights in their classrooms. School boards have the duty to authorize and oversee content, and it's been bizarre to watch most of you on the stage defend sexual content for minors. You have the power as board and the responsibility to fix this. Put the explicit books in a closet if you can't remove them, and restrict your teachers from ordering more of these kind of books. You set the standards. From 1975 to 2020, I never spoke a bad word about the Hudsonville Public Schools. I was an advocate to everyone I spoke to about the school. We had high standards, transparency, and trust. Now, one mom has uncovered 2 lewd books within 2 months. I have no doubt there are more. I'm no longer content in asking the board or the book review club to make the permission slips more transparent. I want these books out. And I want you to enact serious policy eliminating graphic sexual content from our classrooms. If I don't have this promise 1 month from today, I will personally begin blanketing every inch of our district, exposing the graphic details of what's being sanctioned in our English language arts classrooms at the high school.
Thank you for your comments.
I'd like you to contact me, and I want to say that I'm not mean. I'm not being disloyal.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments.
I'm not trying to destroy the schools. I'm
Thank
trying
you.
with a lot of other people to
Thank you for your comments.
restore
Robin,
them.
who's next?
Lee DeHuff.
Good evening. A month ago, I came here and I gave the members of the Board of Education a quiz. And I did that because I'm interested in the education here in Hudsonville and the school system, that it be education in the truth. And I wanted to point you to the source of that truth, what I call the instruction manual. So I asked you a series of questions. Today I'm back, as good teachers do. I'm going to give you the answers. So here are the questions. First of all, what does this instruction manual say about where everything in the universe, including ourselves, comes from? Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. I know that some people prefer that their ancestors emerged from some primordial slime. I prefer that my ancestors were made in God's image, because that means I'm made in God's image. It also means I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. That's what he teaches. The second question, what does the manual say about gender identity? Genesis 1 and verse 27. God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female, he created them. 2 genders, 2 only. Third question. What does the manual say about what marriage is? Genesis chapter 2. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, a man and a woman. That's a marriage. Question number 4. What does the manual teach about human sexuality and how is it to be expressed? And the two shall become one flesh after their marriage. Then they may have the sexual union. What does the manual teach about the sanctity of life, including the unborn? Genesis chapter 9. For whoever sheds man's blood by man, his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God he made man. The death penalty is there for the sanctity of life. It's a serious thing to take a human life, including an unborn baby. God said to Jeremiah 1 verse 5, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. God forms babies in the womb.
Thank you, sir, for your comments.
I'll be back next month.
Thank you. Next, Robin.
Gretchen Vrujink.
My name is Gretchen Vrujink. I'm a mother of 4. 2 are recent graduates of Hudsonville High School. 2 are currently attending Hudsonville Public Schools. I've always been proud to be an Eagle and truly proud of our district. For years, I fully trusted our teachers, principal, you, our board, and our superintendent. I don't know you on a personal level, but I've always respected you and the position you hold as you hadn't given me any reason not to. I attended the November 11 school board meeting when it was brought to your attention that a book, The Kite Runner, was inappropriate. In follow-up, I took the time to email each and every one of you regarding its sexually explicit content. I also had a conversation with the high school principal. I found the response from our assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction on behalf of the superintendent very disappointing, as she was in complete defense of this book. She wrote a lengthy email providing nonsensical reasons as to its educational value and reminded me that it wasn't required, yet let me remind you, it was a book for the class to choose from. Her email concluded with this, and I quote, "We value each family's perspectives, values, and beliefs. Some come to us each day from families with more conservative values and beliefs, while some come to us each day from families with more liberal values and beliefs. It appears to me that HPS is missing the point here in its entirety, as this is not a conservative or a liberal issue. It's a moral issue. It's an issue of decency. Both The Kite Runner and now Half of a Yellow Sun are loaded with sexually explicit material as well as violence, and I would go as far as labeling them as pornographic. Both contain descriptions of rape, in which each victim is being held down. Students are receiving a book from their teacher normalizing these sexual acts of violence, almost as if it's no big deal. It is a big deal. These are 16 and 17-year-old minors that you're handing these adult books to, and this is not okay. It's my impression that both the teachers as well as the district are quick to remind us parents that a consent form was provided before allowing these books to be read. I'd like to point out that the consent form provided is vague. Parents really have no idea as to the content of these books. I am asking that you consider changing the current consent form to a more detailed and transparent form. The process in which teachers are allowed to bring books into their classrooms in the school library needs to change. It's been made clear that we need better oversight. Someone or some group has lowered Hudsonville's standard. I don't know who, and I'm not suggesting that it was any of you. Rather, I'm asking for your help in being a part of a change and choosing higher standards for Hudsonville students. They deserve to be given a high standard by their educators, and our community deserves better than this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next, Robin.
Ryan Phillips.
Ryan Phillips. Okay, next. You would? Okay. Next.
See here? Okay. Casey Koopmans.
Good evening. I'm a parent of 3 kids in Hudsonville Public Schools and was a teacher in another part of the state for 7 years. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the profession. One of my kids has had some major medical issues, and as a result of those issues has IEP services through the wonderful special education department. Related to resource rooms, speech, OT, PT, vision specialists, etc. He's making so much ground being in school, learning to socialize and working on so many skills. I'm so thankful for all the resources and the great team of people in his corner. However, it is unfathomable to me that he would have to miss 5 extra days of school, missing these important learning opportunities and services because our district does not have the gall to make a mask mandate, when all the experts recommend masking with a well-fitted quality mask during this time of ridiculous spread that we all just talked about. Masks that the district has money to afford, if parents can't afford them. I thought 2 main goals of schools was to educate kids and to keep them safe. In many regards, the district's decision to not mandate masks causes them to be less safe and potentially miss more school, failing to do the best we can in the 2 primary purposes of a school, educating them and keeping them safe, with something like 70 to 130 new cases every day that we just talked about. With teachers missing school for weeks at a time, being filled in as best as we can with our wonderful flexible parapros. I'm curious what the district is doing to mitigate spread, or are we just giving up in the sense of having a cohesive strategic response when we don't do the main thing that we could do? Dr. Vanderjack just said we're doing all we can to keep kids healthy and in school. We're not. And we have classes with 7 or 8 kids in them and 15 to 20% of the student body out sick. And again, all these wonderful parapros subbing in the teaching profession that they haven't been trained to, but I appreciate their willingness to do that. I'm still waiting to hear back from Assistant Superintendent Briggs since September on the district's evaluation to handle increased air filtration and the use of portable HEPA air filtration systems, even via donation, to help mitigate the spread and keep kids and teachers in the classroom. Being in a position of leadership of authority does not make one a leader. Leaders lead, they don't just follow. Leaders are not to be like river grass, getting blown in the direction that the currents are flowing. That is not leading. Being eagles, we tell our kids to soar. Be safe, own it, act responsibly, be respectful. We're not even willing to lead by example for the kids we're tasked with educating and caring for, not even being willing to soar as adults and do the things we ask of them. I realize it isn't easy or popular, but doing the right thing often isn't. Predictably, since January 2nd, when we came back from Christmas break, spread has gotten ridiculously out of control. A mask mandate for the next 4 weeks or so until this spike recedes is not that hard. Do the right thing that helps teachers and kids be able to be in school, get educated, which is our purpose, and reduce infection rates. Lead.
Thank you for your comments.
Aaron Doobie.
Greetings, board and administrators. Thanks for all your time. You as well. Fun fact, the largest and oldest pediatric association in America is incredibly clear in their support of LGBTQ+ representation and acceptance in the classroom. Things like pronouns and pride flags, because it saves lives. And it's not just LGBTQ+ lives either. It corresponds with the drop in suicide rates across all spectrums of orientation and genders. Gay and straight youth both have better mental health outcomes in classrooms that are open and affirming. This leads to a great irony we saw in a previous meeting with one board member trying to reject books over concerns of mental health and another trying to reject ones that have actually been shown to help. Now, it is absolutely this board's job to put in place policies that ensure age appropriateness of books to the students. But it is absolutely not okay when it chooses to single out representation of a single vulnerable minority group as indoctrination. Representation is not indoctrination. Someone's gender identity and orientation is not up for debate. And language that dehumanizes others should not be tolerated. This is not politics. This is human rights. And with sky-high suicide rates among LGBTQ plus youth, this could be life or death. Now, you can choose not to listen to me. You can choose not to listen to the experts and stats that I provide. But at least listen to the students under your care, both past and present, that have had the courage to stand up before you these past few months and say that things are not okay. And the more we allow this type of language and belief to go unchecked, the more not okay it will become. Now, I have a ton of respect. I love that this is the appreciation month because I appreciate you and all of your service so much. And I'm hoping that this has just been a misstep, trying to give the benefit of the doubt. But it's hard in this day and age to think that these comments could be anything but willful ignorance. And that's dangerous to have in your position of power. So please educate yourself. Like your statement says, you will educate yourself so that you continue to provide the positive and supportive environment your belief statement calls for. I'm happy to provide a list of organizations that can help you in that journey should you need. Thank you for your time and your service and all of your work on this board as well as administrators. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Lisa Bosch.
Before I begin, I would suggest that minors too step out because of the graphic adult content. And thank you for listening. You may remember I was the mom. I was the one who stepped up here 2 months ago voicing concern in regards to the book, The Kite Runner, and the disturbing content. You need to know that the inappropriate book content is real and continuous, and this is not a position I ever wanted to be in. Our other son happened to be placed in that group for Half of a Yellow Sun. This book was pre-selected by Hudsonville staff for the book club in 21st century literature. We did receive the typical consent form, again with only the title and author. The book was not listed on Common Sense Media or Compass. We could not find a review online regarding content, so we signed it. I later reached out to the teacher for more insight because of our distrust. The teacher confirmed a brief graphic gang rape scene and that sexual content was present, but not the focus of the book. So he did recommend my son not read it, but we decided to proceed with caution, and our son brought the book home. We are shocked and saddened of what Hudsonville deems appropriate in the disguise of educational merit. There are at least 14 chapters with graphic, consensual sex scenes. There are 6 pages of content printed out that are graphic for you to read. Chapter 1, as stated, starts out with a sexual fantasy and graphic masturbation and climax. Graphic sex is in chapters 2, 3, 5, 7, 15, 20, 21 about being firm, 23 about how swollen he was in her mouth. It is so graphic, I can't even read this to you guys like I plan to. This is being read in our classrooms right now. I know by 2 young girls I haven't been able to get a hold of their parents, and the parents are unaware, because the one I did get a hold of was unaware and saddened, and she removed her son from the book. My husband and I are following the district process and have met with Mrs. Hart and Mr. Beal cordially. They would not give us their opinion if it was appropriate or not because they hadn't read the book in its entirety. We expressed our frustration and the frustration with the consent forms, and they did give us the book removal form to submit to the book review committee. However, we are concerned because the chair of the English department has already defended this book, citing its significant literary merit. Some staff have decided books can have enough literary merit to outweigh pornography in print. I am asking you as a board to follow up with this process to remove this book demand better vetting, transparent consent forms, and stand against pornography and print in our classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Next up.
Randy Beist.
I'm honored to be here tonight again. I'm not sure what I can say in 3 minutes. I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to keep our kids safe. My youngest, she's a sophomore. When it's her turn to pray around the family dinner table, she prays, "Keep us safe." She didn't pray that 5 years ago. She's had to endure school shootings, of which we're spending millions to connect our schools, right? So that we keep our kids safe between the two buildings. We're struggling with what to do with mask mandates. I think Casey's words need to be heard. I want to say thank you for your service. I want to say thank you to all of you. I also hurt. I have a 22-year-old and a 19-year-old who'd love to go into teaching. They've been advised by teachers who are their mentors not to do it. It's because teachers are targets. If we want to talk about books in the classroom, I believe in the resurrection of all things. I believe in Jesus Christ. If we want to talk about offensive, let's open the biblical text and look at where Jehovah God slays entire groups of people like the Germans did to the Jews. Let's look at Song of Solomon, where there's visual acts, where it's a man talking about sucking on a woman's breasts, where there's talk of oral sex within the biblical text. If we want to move books out of our schools, we have to move the biblical text, the Bible, out of our school. Now, I don't mean teaching it. We don't do that because we're a public school. We have other options if we want that, right? I attended Calvin Seminary. I'm here because this is where I belong. This is where my children belong. But we don't need to remove anything from we don't need to remove the biblical text, the Bible. We don't need to remove any of these other things either. I'll tell you why, because if it's our job, I can't believe that I have to stand here and have my heart racing because we have so many people that don't know anything other right now than to throw stones at you, at our superintendent, at these people, and at teachers. My dearest friends are teachers. They get paid $60,000 a year to get COVID, and all of them could be making $300,000 to $500,000 a year doing something else, and we don't trust them. Any of the books that are being taught in our school, we can Google every single one of them. I'm not yelling at you, but out of frustration, every book here can be Googled, and if somebody doesn't believe that, they're kidding themselves. If they think our kids don't know about sexuality, they're kidding themselves. Every kid that walks into the school, minus 5%, are sexually alive. That doesn't mean they're active, but they're sexually alive. You heard Aaron Doobie. He's passionate about young people, as am I, as are you, and I want to say thank you. Continue forward, my friends.
Thank you for your comments. That's it? Okay. All right. Thank you all for your comments. We do appreciate those. Okay, before we adjourn, that's our last item before we adjourn. So we'll do a board roundtable and then adjourn the meeting. Mr. Baldwin? So. All set.
I'd like to see the Dorn sisters before they leave.
Just to comment about book policy, we are going to look at that Monday night. Amy's out.
Well, we have to have some conversation.
Okay.
So we'll all figure it out.
Okay, all right, so we'll have some conversation about that.
There's a lot of points that were brought up tonight that I think, bottom line, we can do better. So we're going to talk about it.
Okay. And the other thing I would say is, I think there's been, Brianne and others, there's been great work, I think, done on the book policy. That we've gone as a district for many, many, many years without a book policy, like decades without a book policy. And so I think the work that has been done up to this point has been good work. And because it will further enable us as a board, as a community, as teaching staff and so forth to align on what we want and what we believe in terms of books. And it doesn't mean that everybody's going to agree all the time on things, but it will allow us to align. It'll make us better. It'll promote our process and our activities around books and what we want as a district and so forth. So for any teaching staff or staff here, as we look at that and ask questions as a board and offer suggestions as a board and so forth, please don't take that as being critical of what is being done now or what was done in the past. We're evolving, we're learning, we're growing as a district, and we're both physically and mentally and emotionally as a district. When I started on this board, there were like 2,600 students, and we're now pushing 7,000. So we're growing, and I think that book policy will help us move forward. And I think there are some things that we can do relative to the permission form and some other things that I know we're talking about, and I know that Amy Teller and the team are working on. So more to come on that. Okay, anything else from the board? Okay, can I have a motion and a second to adjourn, please?
I'll move that.
Motion by Mark Davis, support from Steve Auerman. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.